Hey, how's it going, Tegan?
Good, how are you?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. Wednesday is going to mark your first televised match with Shirai, but you guys actually had the chance to lock up in an NXT house show about a year ago in Buffalo, right upon your return to the ring last year. Was there anything that you guys learned, or rather you specifically learned from facing her that night, that you're going to be using to your advantage when you guys clash for the championship this time around?
I know she hits hard. One second, my dog's having a...
No problem.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Io hits hard, so, I know I need to duck some stuff. I want to walk away Thursday, not in pain. So, but yeah, it was a fun match in Buffalo, but I think we learned a lot about each other from how I've come back from so much stuff, and Io's just changed and learned and adapted to the American style so quickly. So I think tomorrow's going to be tough.
You've said before, you're faster now, you're stronger now, you're shinier now than you've ever been before. Do you feel like you're readier now for this huge opportunity coming up than you would have been, 2 or 3 years ago when you first signed with NXT?
Oh, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. In the 3 years, the knees were they happened, but they changed me better mentally, I was just a kid when I came here, and now I've evolved into someone that's been through stuff, and I'm just a fighter now. I'm so much stronger and better as a person, which has made me better as a wrestler. I think if I had this sort of situation 3 years ago, then it definitely wouldn't go my way. But tomorrow, I'm pretty confident.
It was actually 3 years ago today that the first ever Mae Young Classic was being filmed at Full Sail that you unfortunately, of course, had to pull out of due to your first injury. Yeah. So the fact that you're going for the gold tomorrow has got to be fate with everything kind of working out for a reason, right?
I didn't even know that, so that's pretty cool. I must be doing something right, I guess. It didn't go the way I wanted to in the first Mae Young with not being able to compete, but like you said, tomorrow is the anniversary of that, and I get to go for the NXT Women's Championship. Definitely doing something right.
Between competing in the Rumble earlier this year, stealing the show at TakeOver Portland, competing in various match types, earning championship opportunities, is it safe to say that you're living your best life, both wrestling-wise and personally right now in WWE?
100%, without a shadow of a doubt, 100%. Like you said, I got to do some really, really cool things. I was at Portland in the first ever women's takeover street fight. That was cool. I was kind of part of War Games before Dakota turned into a little bit of a mean lady and took me out, so that was cool before that happened. Did the Rumble, I was on SmackDown. So much has happened in the past 3 years that has changed me, like I said earlier, as a wrestler and a person, that right now I'm living my best life. 100%.
Did you expect to make that transition from NXT UK to NXT as quickly as you did upon your return to the ring last year?
Kind of. NXT is my home. I just happened to be on NXT UK, because they asked me to be there, but NXT has always been my home, and I enjoyed my time in NXT UK, I really did, and there's so many women that are there that I still want to compete with and, work with, but NXT was my home, so as soon as I got the opportunity to come back, I was definitely going to do it and take it and run with it.
And of course, that was in Wales too. It's kind of worked out with the matches that you had over there at that point. There's been a lot of rumors lately regarding a possible return of the Evolution pay-per-view at some point in the near future. I know Ruby Riott actually went on the record not too long ago saying that she would want to face you at an Evolution too. Whether it be, Ruby, Beth Phoenix, Molly, Holly, or someone else, do you have any dream opponents if that event were to happen?
Those are my 3 top ones, to be honest. Obviously grew up idolizing Molly Holly and still do to this day, along with Beth, and Ruby is just incredible. She's one of my best friends, and she's such a nice, genuine person and such an incredible talent, that she's at the top of my list. But there's a couple of other women. If she decides she wants to be nice again, I'd love to wrestle Candice at an Evolution. And honestly, I'd love to have a singles match with Bayley. I think that would be super fun. I'm having the tag team championship match against her and Sasha with with Shotzi was such an incredible learning experience for me, and such an enjoyable experience too, that I'd love to have a singles match with Bayley.
With WWE celebrating 5 years of the women's evolution this week, what has it been like for you to be a part of it after growing up watching women like Molly Holly, as you mentioned, to then being a part of the same Royal Rumble match as her earlier this year?
That was a cool day. That was, I mean, like you said, we've had women like Molly Holly, Beth Phoenix, Lita, Trish. When we then moved on to, Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Becky, like all these other women, and now we get the chance to elevate that even further, take what they built, build her even more, for then the next generation to build that even more, and just continue like this uprising is such a heartwarming experience, and being able to just be a tiny part of that is such a big deal to me, and something that means more to me. Like, I want a championship, but being part of something like that means way more to me than anything else could. That's what I want to do, is just open the gates and build a platform for the next generation of female wrestlers that come in. But being part of the Royal Rumble with Molly was ridiculous. Just being backstage, hearing her music, watching her stand there, then go out and do her business. And then afterwards, she texted me saying that I did a good job. Blew my mind. I was sat in my hotel room practically in tears, as I usually do. But it was cool. It was really cool.
At what point did you find out that she was in the match? Was it until like beforehand when she came out? At what point did you find out, oh my God, I'm going to be in the same match as Molly Holly?
The night before. I walked into the arena and there she was. And I was like, oh no, that's Molly Holly. Hello? Can we make this happen? She's right there. I'll do it. It's fine. Does she need to punch someone? I'm here.
Are there any moments from the women's evolution in the last 5 years that stand out to you as being among your favorites?
Obviously Molly Holly shaving her head was a big thing, because you'd never see women do that. And she did that match specifically to elevate the women's division anyway, so like that's such a big thing for me. And then having Lita and Trish main event Raw for the first time, there's just so much stuff. And then Sasha and Bayley at Brooklyn is one of the best matches I've ever seen, and it's one of those matches that you can just watch over and over again. You'll always spot something new, or you'll enjoy her in a different way. But honestly, just being a part of it, knowing that this is an actual thing that's happening, like the women's empowerment and women's evolution is a thing that people are fighting for, is probably the best thing of it all.
And since being surprised by him on the bump last year, have you had any further interactions with Kane at all, who you've called one of your favorites over the years? Have you received any helpful advice from him or anything like that?
He followed me on Twitter and I about lost my mind.
Under the personal account or under the rest of the Kane WWE account? Both.
He did it both.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big day. It was a very big day. It was a stressful day. Big day. But no, he was super nice on the bump, and he wished me luck and, told me that my chokeslam was cool. So anybody that says I shouldn't be using the chokeslam, Kane likes it. So that's all that matters. But no, he's just such a nice guy, and it shows how much of a nice guy that Kane is, that he took time out of his mayoral duties to come on the bump to talk to a girl that's basically just a massive fan of his. Like, he didn't have to do that, but he's just helped me as being a wrestler, like, just watching him is just something that I always learn from myself. You can always differ into different styles, so.
And between being a Kane fan, and I got to ask, the Eye for an Eye match coming up at the pay-per-view this Sunday, between the two of those things, have you ever seen See No Evil starring Kane? And if so, what were your thoughts on it?
Of course I have.
Dumb question.
I've seen See No Evil 2, too.
That was actually better than the original, I thought.
It really was, because the first one really creeped me out. The first one was one of those ones where you watch behind your hands or behind a pillow. The second one was like, this is cool, that's Kane. But the first one's like, oh, Kane, what are you doing? That's a hook that you've got there. Of course I've seen them.
That's a staple for Halloween. I watch it every October. It's a great movie, both of them, actually.
It really is.
Yeah, it's an underrated one. How cool is the reaction to your comeback documentary that aired on the network and the YouTube channel, the PC YouTube channel, earlier this year? What was that feedback like for you?
it was incredible. People going out of their way and sending me pictures from all over the world saying that they were watching the documentary. And, it was a long process. It was a year in the making, if not more. But just seeing such positive reactions of, like, saying how proud they are of me, or how hard I've worked, or that I've inspired them to work hard, or, I've had people messaging me saying that they were going through injuries or going through, issues with their mental health, and that I've helped them. So that's all I really wanted from this. I didn't want exposure for myself. I just wanted to help other people that I was helped by my friends, and family. So if I could do that with a documentary about a tough subject, then I was more than happy to. But all the feedback was positive, which is what I'm super thankful for.
And a big part of the documentary, and you've talked with this, elsewhere before, about how you're a big Captain Marvel fan and how that kind of inspired you on your road to recovery and Brie Larson and everything else. How many times have you seen the movie by this point, and anything you hope to see from the sequel coming out in a couple of years?
I think I burnt out my DVD. So
thankfully there's Disney Plus.
Exactly. That was the first thing I watched on Disney Plus. But yeah, I've watched it so many times, and it's every time it's one of those movies that will always give me chills. People have stopped watching the movie with me now because I just say the lines along with the movie. But for the number 2, I would like to be in it. If that's a possibility, I would be in it. I don't need a role. I don't need a speaking role. I can walk in the background. Just put me in the movie. That's all I ask.
And, you talked about, again, in the documentary, how much she inspired you on your road to recovery and everything else. You've inspired a lot of fans, as you mentioned earlier, with the same way that Brie Larson and Captain Marvel inspired you. You've inspired them, especially with how you've emphasized, being yourself and making, apologies for it, which is awesome. With everything going on in the world right now and everything, kind of going on in 2020, what advice would you bestow upon people that are looking for advice, going through a tough time, as you mentioned earlier?
For me, I've been lucky enough to have such an incredible support system with my friends and my family, and the WWE family in general. Everyone was wanting to help me. No one was putting themselves first. They always put me first, which is what I did. I always put people first instead of me, but they kind of forced me to put myself first, which is nice. But I was lucky enough to have all that. So when people message me saying that they're struggling, that they don't have a support system, I'm happy enough to, reach out to them, and I'll check in with them every few months or every few weeks. I keep an open gateway. If someone's struggling and I can help them, I will. So that's all I want in life. I want to use my platform and my name to help people overcome any type of thing,
And, you mentioned as part of that as well in the documentary with the near year that you were out for, about how the one thing that you were looking forward to the most, or one of the things that you were looking forward to the most was, that return, hearing that reaction. I'm sure that's one thing that everyone looks forward to when you're on a long layoff, is hearing the crowd, and you came back and got that great reaction. With that being said, you got to be looking forward to having the fans back in the building at some point down the road and kind of feeling that adrenaline rush again, of course.
Oh, definitely. The fans are the heart and soul of the WWE and NXT universe. They're who we do this for. We like to make them happy, and with what's going on right now, we are still doing that by putting on shows weekly and making them smile and bringing them some entertainment. But everyone I know, every single person within WWE and NXT, are so excited for the crowds to come back and being able to travel and coming out that curtain and seeing that first kid's face when we come out, and the smiles. We're all super excited for that.
And finally, you're still a wrestling fan at heart, a Kane fan, Captain Marvel fan, Star Wars, Sims, Paramore, Office fan, dog lover, and a gamer. Is there anything I'm missing here, and is there really any reason for fans to not root for you going into Wednesday night?
I don't know. I like food, if that helps. I really like food. I think you nailed it all on the head right there. I'm not going to say about Star Wars. We'll keep that in, because if that goes in my favor, then more for it. But no, I think you nailed it all on the head right there. Other than I'm going to bring the fight to Io, and the woman that she faced a year ago is not the woman that I am now. I think that pretty much says it all.
Well, it should be a great match. Looking forward to the matchup, Tegan. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, and best of luck on Wednesday.
Thank you so much.